The first gunshot ripped through the muggy Atlanta afternoon like a firecracker too sharp to be anything but trouble. Jamal Carter's sketchbook hit the ground before he did, his fingers still curled around the edges as his body crumpled onto the sun-baked sidewalk. Crimson bloomed across his faded Superman t-shirt, the one his little sister had teased him for wearing at 16. For a heartbeat, the street froze the barista halfway through, handing a latte out the cafe window, the old man adjusting his Braves cap outside the hardware store, all of them staring at the boy now, gasping on the pavement. Then Officer Riggs fired again. The bullet shattered a storefront window instead. Jesus, he's done. Stop shooting. His partner, Deputy Walsh, yanked Riggs's wrist down, but the damage was already done. Riggs's voice cracked like a teenager's. He was throwing up blood signs, I swear. A woman in a nurse's scrubs sprinted from the bus stop, her sneakers slapping against the asphalt. You moron, he was fingerspelling that kid's in my ASL class. She dropped to her knees beside Jamal, pressing her hands against the wound as his cochlear implant dangled wires sparking. His sketchbook splayed open beside him, revealing a winged figure with Jamal's exact cornrows soaring over downtown, a hero with hearing aids like his. The nurse's voice turned razor-sharp. Call an ambulance, now. Across the street, the owner of Big Mike's BBQ wrenched his apron off phone, already recording. Y'all just executed a deaf boy for walking home. His camera panned to the half-eaten peach cobbler in Jamal's backpack, the one he'd bought for his mom's birthday. Deputy Walsh shifted his weight radio, crackling with incoming units. We had a 1078 on a suspect matching his description. The nurse didn't look up from Jamal's seizing body. Black male wearing jeans. That's your reasonable suspicion. Jamal's vision tunneled. The vibrations of screeching squad cars rattled his teeth, but all he could taste was blood. Then something beneath his sternum activated. A silent, searing pulse. 300 miles away, in a Langley sub-level senior analyst, Lena Carter's coffee cup exploded across her keyboard. Her monitor flashed with a biometric alert. Codename Echo Down. Secure App status hostile engagement. The room full of suits kept debating Russian cyber threats as Lena stood her chair, screeching back. Agent Carter, the deputy director, frowned at her shaking hands. Sit down. She was already sprinting for the armory. The hospital doors burst open before security could react. Lena Carter moved like shadow and lightning past the front desk, down the sterile hallway, her boots leaving wet prints from the storm outside. A rookie cop stationed outside Jamal's room reached for his radio. Nina stepped forward, her voice honeyed and lethal. Try it, and I'll feed that radio to you sideways. The cop froze. Inside the OR, Dr. Saunders barely had time to register the woman in the doorway before she was gloving up. Status. Her voice wasn't a request. The heart monitor's erratic beeps filled the silence. Liver laceration, collapsed lung bullet fragments near his spine. The doctor snapped. Who the hell are his mother? Lena's hands hovered over Jamal's chest, her fingers tracing the scar from his last surgery, the one he got after some jackass shoved him into lockers for signing too loud. The memory ignited something feral in her gut. She turned to Sawyer, who'd slipped in with a tablet. Tell me you have them. Sawyer's screen lit up with real-time feeds Officer Riggs at a Waffle House laughing over pancakes, Deputy Walsh chain-smoking in his driveway, and Police Chief Winslow. Oh, this was Rich, leaving his mistress's apartment. Got their comms tapped, too, Sawyer muttered. Walsh just texted his wife working late. Riggs is bragging to his buddies about dropping a blood. A new alert pinged. Lena's jaw tightened. Social media had exploded. Simone's video was trending, but so was a counter-narrative blurry footage from a cop's bodycam edited to show Jamal lunging. The comments section was a war zone. One stood out: "Play stupid games, win stupid prizes." The username, Patriot Riggs 87. Lena sucked her teeth. "They're digging their own graves." Lena pressed her lips to Jamal's forehead, then strode out, shrugging into a Kevlar vest Sawyer handed her. "Wake up the U.S. Attorney in Atlanta and send Riggs' location to every Black Lives Matter organizer in Georgia." Her smile was all teeth. Let's see how brave he is when the cameras aren't on his side. Downstairs, the lobby TVs flickered to breaking news. CIA confirms operative's son involved in Bridgewood shooting. The barista from the crime scene. Simone was now live on CNN holding Jamal's blood-stained sketchbook open to a drawing of a cop with devil horns. "They didn't just shoot a deaf kid," she said softly. "They shot America's conscience." Outside, the first protesters' chants rattled the windows. Lena's phone buzzed an encrypted message from cruise jets hot. "Wheels up in 20. Bring the storm." She glanced back at Jamal's room. "No cruise," she whispered. "We're bringing the damn hurricane." The fluorescent lights flickered as Lena stepped into the hallway, her reflection warped in the polished hospital floors. Lena materialized beside her, holding out a tablet with live footage from the Bridgewood PD parking lot. Officer Riggs stumbling out of his squad car, his face flushed from what looked like a long night of drinking. "Patriot Riggs, 87, just got home," Lena murmured. "His search history's a gold mine. White supremacist forums, gun sales, and she zoomed in on a time-stamped photo from 2 hours ago. A selfie with Chief Winslow at some backwoods bar called the Lone Star. Caption says, 'Cleaning up the streets.'" Lena's thumb hovered over the screen. With one tap, she forwarded everything to 3 investigative journalists, a federal prosecutor, and the Southern Poverty Law Center. Let's see him clean that up. Back in Jamal's room, the heart monitor's steady beep was the only sound. His fingers twitched again, this time forming clumsy signs against the sheet's home, scared while Lena caught his hand, pressing his palm to her cheek. The gesture startled even her. She hadn't done that since he was 6 when bullies broke his hearing aids. Sawyer's voice crackled in her earpiece. "Got the 911 caller. Some Karen named Brenda Whitmore lives in the apartments behind the library. Said she saw a suspicious black male lurking near the dumpsters." A screenshot popped up Brenda's Facebook profile plastered with Blue Lives Matter memes and a shared post titled "Deaf People Can Be Gang Members Too." Lena's laugh was ice. Add her to the list. Downstairs, the hospital's sliding doors hissed open. A group of nurses clustered around a phone, gasping at a viral video. Chief Winslow's mistress, now identified as a 22-year-old dispatcher, giving an impromptu press conference in tears. "He made me alter the 911 transcript," she sobbed, waving a USB drive. The original call never mentioned a weapon. The janitor from earlier paused his mopping to watch, then quietly slipped a note into Lena's coat pocket. She unfolded it under the glow of an exit sign. Back stairwell. 2 mins. I was at the library. When she arrived, a teenage girl in a Bridgewood High hoodie stood shaking. "I filmed everything," she whispered, thrusting a phone at Lena. The footage showed Jamal from behind his red backpack, bright against the dull pavement, signing along to a song only he could hear. The cops' shouts were garbled, but one phrase cut through clear as day. "Stop resisting." Jamal never turned around. Lena handed the phone to Lena. "Get this to CNN." As she turned to leave, the girl grabbed her sleeve. "Will he—" Lena's voice softened for the first time in 48 hours. "He's gonna be okay, but they won't." Back in Jamal's room, dawn bled through the blinds. His eyes fluttered open, clear aware. Lena signed 3 words she hadn't used since his father's funeral. "I love you." Outside, the first protesters' chants shook the windows. No justice, no peace. The storm had arrived. The sedan's tires hissed against wet pavement as Sawyer took a sharp turn toward the station. Lena stared at the live feed on her tablet. Chief Winslow was now frantically shredding documents, his hands shaking so badly he jammed the machine twice. "He's panicking," she murmured. "Good." A new alert popped up, Na's voice tight with triumph. "Got audio." Winslow's burner call came from County Commissioner Grayson's office. They've been coordinating this since last year's protest. The recording played Grayson's drawl slick with bourbon. "We let one deaf kid slide, next thing you know they'll all be resisting arrest with sign language." Lena's knuckles whitened around the tablet. "Send that to the FBI's Civil Rights Division, and leak Grayson's tax fraud files to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution." Sawyer whistled. "Damn, you've been sitting on that, since Tuesday." The car slowed near a dimly lit alley across from the police station. Lena reached under the seat, pulling out a duffel bag. Inside a sanitation uniform, a forged ID, and Sawyer raised an eyebrow, a janitor's cart stocked with surveillance gear. "You're kidding." Lena was already changing. "Winslow's got 3 exits. I'll take the west stairwell. You jam their comms at 14:30 exactly." She snapped a tiny camera onto her collar shaped like a button. "Oh, and Sawyer, make sure the live stream's ready." Inside the station, the air smelled of stale coffee and sweat. Lena kept her head down, pushing the cart past distracted officers glued to news footage of the growing protests. The break room TV blared. Breaking CIA confirms operative's son was unarmed. A rookie cop dropped his donut. She turned a corner and froze. Officer Riggs was slumped in a chair outside Winslow's office, picking at his fingernails with a pocket knife. Up close, he looked younger than she expected, with acne scars and a wedding band he kept twisting. Then his radio crackled. "All units, riot gear, downtown intersection." The knife slipped. He cursed, sucking blood from his thumb. Lena ducked into a supply closet as Winslow stormed out, face purple with rage. "You stupid son of a—" He grabbed Riggs by the collar. "That kid's mother has friends in Langley. You just signed our death warrants." Riggs's voice cracked. "I thought he was—" "You didn't think." Winslow shoved him against the wall. A framed photo clattered to the floor, last year's Bridgewood PD charity softball champions. Glass shattered. Lena's earpiece buzzed. Sawyer's voice. "Datas live in 3, 2. Across town, every phone billboard and government monitor flickered. The hacked footage rolled Winslow taking bribes. Riggs bragging about keeping the streets clean. Grayson laughing about those thugs at the library. But the coup de grace, a split screen, Jamal's blood on the pavement beside Riggs' text to his wife, "Baby, I'm a hero." Lena slipped out the fire exit as alarms wailed inside the station. The night air tasted like rain and reckoning. Na's voice came through, grinning. "CNN's calling it the Bridgewood betrayal. Grayson's already resigned." "Good," Lena said, stripping off the uniform. "Now let's go wake up my son." Somewhere behind her, a police cruiser's window shattered. The crowd's roar shook the city. Justice, it seemed, wasn't just coming. It was here. The sunset painted Bridgewood in streaks of orange and fury as Officer Riggs pushed through the station's back door, his duffel bag heavy with more than just guilt. The hallway was eerily empty. No clatter of keyboards, no radios squawking. Just the hum of the server room at the end of the hall, its door slightly ajar. Inside, a single monitor glowed in the dark. Riggs froze. On screen, his own bodycam footage played, but not the edited version Winslow had leaked. This was raw. Jamal's hand signing the chorus to "Lose Yourself." His back turned, his sketchbook tucked under his arm. Then Riggs' own voice, crystal clear. Fucking freak can't even hear me." The gunshot echoed through the speakers. A shadow moved behind him. "Funny thing about cloud storage," Lena said, stepping into the light. "Even shredded files leave ghosts." She held up a thumb drive, the same one Winslow had tried to destroy. "You should have stuck to pancakes." Riggs lunged for his backup piece. The server room door slammed shut behind him. Nana leaned against it, twirling a stun gun. Rambo." Across town, the mayor's press conference erupted as a reporter's phone buzzed with a notification. The crowd gasped. Every screen in the square lit up with Riggs' unedited footage and a new clip, Winslow handing him a wad of cash in the station parking lot, whispering, "Make it look clean." Mayor Sharp's mic picked up her whisper, "Jesus Christ." Back in the hospital, Jamal propped himself up, wincing as he reached for his sketchbook. His fingers moved slowly, but the lines were sure a new drawing took shape, his mother armored, like the superheroes he loved, standing between him and a crumbling police badge. Lena's phone buzzed. Sawyer's text, "Feds just raided Grayson's office. Riggs in custody." Winslow's singing like a canary. She showed it to Jamal. His laugh was hoarse but bright. "Told you he signed. Best mom." Outside, the protesters' chants had changed. No longer just justice for Jamal, but burn it down. A trash can fire reflected in the hospital windows, painting the room gold. Lena squeezed her son's hand. The storm wasn't over, but for the first time in days, the thunder sounded like hope. The video footage on Sawyer's laptop trembled as Officer Riggs slammed his fist against a filing cabinet. His face contorted with rage. "You think I wanted this? That kid was just..." The unknown voice cut him off. "A liability the moment you pulled the trigger. Now sit down before you make it worse." Danica's fingers curled into fists. The timestamp showed this was recorded after Malik had been loaded into the ambulance, after they'd already seen his cochlear implant, after the gas station clerk had screamed, "He's deaf," for the whole street to hear. Sawyer zoomed in. A third figure stepped into frame, Chief Winslow holding a evidence bag with Malik's sketchbook inside. He tossed it onto the table. "Burn it. No more superhero fantasies for the media to cry over." Danica's phone vibrated. A text from Nana got a hit on the mystery voice, running facial recognition now. Back in Malik's room, the TV played muted footage of the growing protests. He reached for the remote, wincing as the movement tugged at his stitches. The volume erupted, a CNN reporter standing outside Bridgewood PD shouting over chants of, "Release the tapes." Breaking news: the Department of Justice has opened a civil rights investigation into the Bridgewood Police Department. Sources confirm Officer Kyle Riggs has been suspended, while Chief Derek Winslow, Malik muted it again. His hands moved slowly, forming the sign for police, then crushing an invisible object between his palms. Danica returned just as Sawyer's new message flashed across her screen. "Voice belongs to Deputy Commissioner Eli Vance. Former FBI runs statewide officer training programs." Attached was a decade-old photo of Vance shaking hands with Winslow at a law enforcement appreciation dinner. She showed Malik the photo. His eyes darkened with recognition. He'd seen Vance's face before, in news articles about police reform bills that never passed. Downstairs, the hospital lobby TVs switched to live footage of Vance at a podium, his pressed suit immaculate. This tragic incident underscores the need for improved de-escalation training. A protester's shout cut through the lies. "You trained them to shoot first." Malik grabbed his sketchbook, flipping to a fresh page. His pencil flew across the paper. No superheroes this time, just a row of badges melting into a single, monstrous shape. At the bottom, he scrawled in shaky letters, "They all look the same when they lie." Danica took the drawing, folded it into her pocket, and kissed his forehead. "Rest," she signed. "Tomorrow we fight." Outside, the helicopter's spotlight swept over the crowd like searching eyes. But in the hospital stairwell, Sawyer was already uploading the incriminating video to every major news outlet. The fire rigs had started. It was about to become an inferno. The warehouse photos glowed on Danica's tablet, row after row of unmarked crates containing enough firepower to outfit a small militia. She zoomed in on one box's shipping label, Bridgewood PD, Special Operations. The date stamp showed delivery 3 days before Malik's shooting. "War prep is right," she muttered, forwarding the images to her DOJ contact with 2 added words, "Follow the money." Malik's fingers snapped her attention back to his hospital bed. "Who's Bell, really?" He signed, his eyes sharper than his morphine drip should allow. Danica hesitated. The art class friend had perfect ASL fluency, military straight posture, and a habit of scanning exits details only a trained operative would notice. "Someone who knows you draw better superheroes than the CIA recruits," she signed back, watching his smirk bloom. Across town, Lena's surveillance feed lit up with movement. Captain Mercer's SUV pulled into the Fortis warehouse lot, his trunk popping open to reveal stacks of cash-filled duffels. But the real prize came when he pulled out his phone and barked, "Winslow's cracking. Clean house by dawn." Sawyer's voice crackled through Danica's earpiece. "Got Mercer's call traced to a private line at a beat." Oh shit, Grayson's office. The puzzle pieces slammed together. The commissioner wasn't just covering up a shooting, he'd been stockpiling weapons for a crisis he knew was coming. Danica turned to Malik, signing so fast her fingers blurred, "Pack your sketchbook, we're leaving in 10. His hands froze mid-reply when the hospital lights flickered. Then the power went out. Not just in their wing. The entire city block plunged into darkness. Somewhere in the shadows, a voice whispered through Danica's earpiece. Bell's voice now stripped of its teenage affect. "Ma'am, we've got company. 3 SUVs full of armed men just bypassed the checkpoint. They're not cops." Malik's hands found his mother's in the dark. His signing was steady. "Tell me the plan." Outside, the whine of military-grade drones pierced the night. Danica thumbed her weapon safety off. "We give them exactly what they wanted," she signed back. A war. The first gunshot shattered the lobby windows. Turns out Bridgewood was on fire after all. The motel's flickering neon sign cast jagged shadows across Danica's makeshift war room. She pinned a new photo to the corkboard, a grainy shot of Mercer, shaking hands with a Fortis executive at a hunting lodge last fall. The timestamp matched the week Bridgewood PD had accidentally received surplus military rifles. Lena slid a burner phone across the table. "Just got word from Bell. Malik's safe house is secure, but Winslow's got patrols circling every hospital within 50 miles. Danica didn't look up from connecting the dots on her board. "Let them waste manpower. They're not looking for a janitor's van." A knock at the door. Sawyer entered, laptop balanced on one arm of the other, clutching a grease-stained bag. "You gotta eat." He tossed her a breakfast sandwich, then froze at the sight of her latest discovery. A blown-up invoice showing Fortis had shipped Bridgewood PD sonic weapons designed to disable hearing aids. Danica's fingers crushed the sandwich wrapper. They weaponized deafness. Sawyer swallowed hard. There's more. Mercer's been funneling funds through a shell company called Blue Line Armory. Danica finished tapping a bank statement showing 6-figure deposits from none other than Commissioner Grayson's re-election fund. The motel TV suddenly blared, breaking news, Winslow at a press conference flanked by state troopers. "We welcome federal oversight," he lied smoothly. "But let's not forget the deceased had ties to militant groups." Danica's fist slammed the mute button. "They're going full smear campaign." Lena's phone buzzed with an alert. Her grin was all teeth. "Bell just intercepted Mercer's burner texts. They're moving the Fortis stash tonight to a training facility near the county line." Danica stood so fast her chair toppled. That's our play. Sawyer leaked the sonic weapons invoice to every deaf advocacy group in the country. Nina prepped the van. She grabbed a janitor's uniform from the bed. I've got a delivery to make. As she changed, the TV played silent footage of protesters outside City Hall. A little black girl no older than Malik had been when he got his first cochlear implant held a sign that read, "Deaf enough to ignore, black enough to shoot." Danica's reflection in the motel mirror showed no emotion. But the way she strapped on her Kevlar vest, that was a promise. Bridgewood wanted war. They'd get annihilation. The warehouse district smelled of rust and diesel. As Danica studied Hanley's face, the sweat on his temple, the way his fingers kept brushing his holster like it burned him. Testifying won't just cost you your badge, she said. It'll make you a target. A train whistle screamed in the distance. Hanley's voice cracked. My daughter started signing justice for Malik at dinner last night. She's 8. He pulled a thumb drive from his pocket. Mercer's files, every cover-up, every payout, even the... He trailed off, eyes darting to a time-stamped folder labeled Sentinel Overrides. Danica plugged it into her tablet. The screen lit up with damning evidence Mercer had personally flagged Malik as a high-risk loiterer after the kid lingered 3 minutes outside the library. Worse, the AI's own log showed it had flagged him for abnormal gait, a glitch caused by his cochlear implant's feedback. Hanley's boot scuffed the gravel. The system's rigged, we all knew it. But this, he pointed to a line in the code demographic weight, black male, 1525, plus 70% threat probability. That's not policing, that's hunting. Danica's phone buzzed. Sawyer's text, Winslow just called an emergency press conference. They're claiming Malik had gang ties. Attached was a doctored photo Malik's sketchbook edited to show Blood's graffiti. Hanley's face went ashen. They're really gonna do it. Bury him twice. Danica snapped the tablet shut. Meet me at the courthouse tomorrow. Bring your badge. As he turned to leave, she added, and Hanley wear a wire. Back at the motel, Nina was elbow-deep in Fortis schematics. Found the kill switch, she announced, tapping a blueprint of their AI system. One command and Sentinel wipes itself along with every risk assessment it ever generated. Danica tossed her the thumb drive. Make it loud. Outside, the sunset bled red over Bridgewood. Somewhere in the dark, Malik's face flickered across news chyrons. Shooting victim or threat police release new evidence. But in a secure server farm, 5 states away, Sawyer's code was already slithering through Fortis's mainframe. By dawn, every precinct using Sentinel would wake to a splash screen. System failure, truth detected. And beneath it, Malik's last sketch, the one of a cop's badge melting into a swastika. Justice wasn't just coming, it was rewriting the rules. The protest footage on the tablet shook as someone jostled the cameraman, a sea of faces, black and white, young and old, chanting with their hands raised in Malik's name, fingers spelling out justice in ASL. Danica pointed to a woman in the crowd, signing furiously to a news crew. They didn't see a person. They saw a threat algorithm. Malik's fingers twitched toward his sketchbook. He flipped to a fresh page, wincing as his stitches pulled and began to draw. Not the superheroes this time, but the protesters. Their mouths open in song, their hands shaping signs, their signs becoming wings that lifted a small figure him, though he'd never admit it above the crowd. Danica's phone lit up with Sawyer's latest Triumph Sentinel AI source code leaked. Media's calling it racist software. Fortis stock just crashed 62%. Then a new alert. Hanley's wire had gone live. The motel TV switched to a live press conference where Captain Mercer stood stiff behind a podium, unaware his mic was picking up his whispered plea to Winslow. We need to burn the evidence now. The crowd outside the hospital erupted as the feed cut to Hanley, stepping forward, his badge in one hand, a stack of files in the other. "I'm Officer Brett Hanley, badge number U1875, and I'm here to testify that Bridgewood PD falsified reports, manipulated AI data, and—" his voice broke. "Murdered a child for the crime of existing while black and disabled." Malik's pencil snapped mid-sketch. Danica expected rage. Instead, he signed something that gutted her. Will it change anything? Outside, the protesters' chants grew louder, angrier. A new banner unfurled, defund Sentinel, as someone set fire to a Fortis drone in the street. Danica took her son's hand, pressing his palm against the hospital window so he could feel the vibrations of their fury. "Not yet," she signed. But it's the first time they've ever trembled. Somewhere in the chaos, a police cruiser's siren wailed, not in warning, but in retreat. The system hadn't fallen, but for the first time in Bridgewood's history it had flinched. The video rental shop smelled of stale popcorn and dust, the flickering glow of Sawyer's monitors casting eerie shadows across shelves of forgotten DVDs. Danica traced a finger over the map on the wall, 7 red pins marking counties where Sentinel had been deployed, each with a corresponding spike in black teen arrests. Blue Line Armory wasn't just supplying gear, she said, tapping a photo of the training facility. They were beta testing a system to criminalize black bodies before they even committed crimes. Lena tossed a set of car keys in the air. "Reeves' tip checks out. Roar's got 6 ex-military buddies with him at Dyer Ridge, all former Fortis contractors. Stockpile includes AR-15s, flashbangs, and—" she hesitated. "Sonic disruptors tuned to cochlear implant frequencies." The room went still. Danica's phone buzzed a text from Malik. "Watching the news. They're saying Sentinel malfunctioned." Attached was a screenshot of a Fox News Chiron software glitch to blame in Bridgewood tragedy. Sawyer cracked his knuckles. Time to crash their narrative. His fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up a video file Roar at a bar last month, slurring to his buddies, "Sentinel's genius. Tag 'em early, watch 'em close, and when they step out of line—" He mimed shooting a rifle. Lena grinned. "Let's air their dirty laundry." But Danica was already strapping on body armor. "You handle the data war. I've got a field trip." She tossed Sawyer Reeves' files. "Leak the Sentinel memos to every parent-teacher association in those 7 counties, and add the sonic disruptor specs to the ACLU lawsuit." As she reached the door, Malik's second text came through. "Be careful." Danica paused, remembering the way he'd signed voice earlier. She typed back, "Always. Tell your story to the nurse with the purple braids, she's Belle's cousin." Outside, the night smelled of rain and rebellion. Protesters still clogged the streets, their chants now punctuated by the occasional whoomp of a police flashbang. Danica melted into the crowd, her eyes on the distant ridge where Roar and his militia waited. The system thought it could bury the truth under terms like glitch and malfunction. But Danica Thompson, she spoke in bullets and fire. And tonight, Bridgewood would learn the difference. The rooftop footage exploded across the internet like a grenade, every frame a damning indictment. Malik's hands raised in clear, deliberate ASL. "I can't hear you." Roar's finger already tightening on the trigger before the boy could finish signing. The video's timestamp proved Bridgewood PD had lied. Oro, Azuro, or 7 showed the first shot fired. Ovoro, Uazaro, or 3 showed Roar's smirk as he chambered the round. Sawyer's fingers flew across 3 keyboards simultaneously. CNN's running it uncensored. MSNBC's got a legal analyst crying on air. Even Fox cut away from their software glitch segment to— He grinned as Fox's feed abruptly switched to static. "Oh shit, someone just hijacked their broadcast." Lena tossed Danica a police scanner. Winslow's scrambling all units to City Hall. Mercer's MIA. And Roar. A beat. His militia just abandoned Dyer Ridge, left their weapons behind like rats fleeing a sinking ship. Danica plugged the flash drive into a secure server. Send Tanisha and her son to the safe house, then leak Mayor Sharp's financials to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. She pulled up the Civic Integrity Partners files invoices for urban pacification equipment signed by Sharp herself, paid for with funds earmarked for after-school programs. Malik's text came through as the sun rose. "Nurse says I can walk today. Can I go to the protest?" Danica's throat tightened. She typed back, "Not yet," then added, "But turn on Channel 7. The motel TV blared to life with breaking news. Federal agents swarming Bridgewood PD Senator Elizabeth Warren, demanding Senate hearings on predictive policing, and the cherry on top, Mayor Sharp being read her rights outside a Starbucks, her designer blazer clashing with the handcuffs. Lena whooped. They found the money trail Sharp was taking kickbacks from Fortis to fast-track Sentinel's rollout, but Danica was already moving. "Suit up, we're not done yet." She tossed Lena a set of keys. Roar's still out there, and men like him. She checked her sidearm. They'd rather burn the world than face justice. Outside, the protesters' chants had taken on a victorious edge. Someone had projected Malik's "not a victim fighter" message onto the courthouse walls, the words glowing 10 feet tall. The system hadn't just flinched this time. It was bleeding. And Danica Thompson, she knew exactly where to twist the knife. The flash drive glinted in the sunlight as Danica turned to the projection screen behind her. With a single nod to Sawyer, the footage rolled to Roar's cruiser speeding toward Malik before he'd even turned around the Fortis memo labeling ASL as suspicious gesturing. Mayor Sharp's handwritten note on a deposit slip, "Sentinel works, double the order." A gasp rippled through the crowd as the screen split to show Malik's hospital bed sketchbook, a new drawing of protesters lifting a broken badge into the light, his shaky signature in the corner. Danica's voice never wavered. "They told us it was a malfunction, a training issue, one bad apple." She tapped the keyboard, revealing Roar's personnel file, 7 prior complaints, all buried. This was their design. A reporter shouted, "What about the mayor's arrest?" Danica smiled coldly. "Ask her about the 200 laser bribe from Fortis to fast-track Sentinel's rollout." She dropped the bombshell with surgical precision. Or, better yet, ask Commissioner Grayson why his anonymous tip about a suspicious black male came from a burner phone traced to his mistress's apartment. The crowd erupted. Chants of "End Sentinel now" drowned out the police helicopters circling overhead. Back in his hospital room, Malik watched the live stream, his fingers spelling out the protesters' signs through the glass. The nurse with purple braids handed him a new sketchbook, this one filled with messages from kids across the country. On the first page, a deaf girl from Chicago had drawn a superhero with Malik's face signing "Hero" in bold letters. His hands trembled as he flipped to a blank page and began to draw not just his story anymore, but theirs. Danica's final words echoed through the courthouse square. "You wanted to label my son a threat, congratulations." The screen behind her lit up with every Sentinel-targeted teen's face, hundreds of them black, brown, disabled, queer, as their names scrolled like credits at the end of a war movie. Meet your reckoning. As federal agents moved in to arrest Winslow, one thought burned through Bridgewood like wildfire. The system didn't just bleed today, it bled out, and from its ashes rose something new, something with Malik's name etched into its bones. The airfield outside Athens was pitch black, except for the dim glow of a single hangar light. Captain Mercer's silhouette moved frantically inside, tossing duffel bags into a small private jet. His polished demeanor had cracked. Tie-loose hair disheveled his usual crisp posture, hunched under the weight of panic. Lena's voice crackled in Danica's earpiece. "Roar's on the move, heading south on I-85 in that stolen van. You want me to intercept?" Danica watched Mercer through her binoculars as he checked his watch for the 10th time. "Negative. Let him come. Back in Bridgewood, the candlelight vigil outside the hospital had swelled to thousands. Malik's face, his sketches, his name, his story was everywhere. But in room 304, the bed was empty. A note taped to the monitor read, "Gone to finish my drawing." The nurse with purple braids smiled to herself as she adjusted the IV pole near the window, now just a prop. At the airfield, Mercer's pilot cursed as the engine sputtered. "We've got a fuel leak, sir. Won't make it 5 miles. Mercer didn't hear the sedan pull up behind him. Didn't see Danica step out until her shadow stretched across the tarmac. "Going somewhere, Captain." He whirled around, hand flying to his sidearm, then froze. Behind Danica, Roar's stolen van screeched to a halt, headlights blinding. The door slammed. Footsteps pounded. "You set me up!" Roar's scream was raw, unhinged. "You promised I'd be protected." Mercer backed toward the Jedis, darting between Danica's calm stance and Roar's shaking rifle. "Kyle, listen." "No." "You listen." Roar racked the slide. "I did what you trained me to do." Danica didn't flinch. She simply tapped her phone. Every screen in Bridgewood, every TV, every phone, every billboard lit up with live footage from the airfield. The world watched as Roar's gun swung toward Mercer as Mercer drew his own weapon, as their decades of corruption collapsed into a single, fatal standoff. Danica stepped back into the shadows. Let them dig their own graves. 2 gunshots cracked through the night, then silence. By dawn, the headlines would scream, "Cop kills, cop and murder suicide." But in a quiet art studio on the hospital's rehab floor, Malik put the finishing touches on his newest sketch, a phoenix rising from a broken badge, its wings spelling "Justice" in bold ASL gestures. Danica leaned in the doorway, watching him work. No more victims, no more silence. Just the truth, burning brighter than any lie. The GPS signal blinked steadily as Nena's team surrounded the stalled van, weapons drawn. Roar never saw the tranquilizer dart that dropped him mid-reload, courtesy of Belle, who lowered her rifle from a nearby rooftop with a satisfied smirk. Inside the jet, Mercer's polished facade finally shattered as federal agents dragged him out. "You'll never prove conspiracy," he spat at Danica. She didn't bother responding. The mountain of evidence, Sentinel's racist algorithms, the doctored reports, the sonic weapon schematics would do that for her. But the real victory came hours later, when Malik's hospital room door opened to reveal the nurse with purple braids wheeling in a cart stacked with letters. Thousands of them from deaf kids across the country, each containing a sketch of their own hands signing, "I am not afraid." Danica watched as her son carefully unfolded one from a 6-year-old in Detroit. "You're my hero. I want to draw like you when I grow up." Malik's fingers trembled as he reached for his sketchbook. This time, he drew something new, a courtroom packed with faces both black and white, young and old. In the center stood not a judge, but a jury of kids holding his artwork aloft like torches. Sawyer burst in, laptop open. Winslow just flipped, gave up everyone, Grayson Fortis execs, even the police union president. DOJ's expanding the investigation to 12 states. Nena tossed Malik a box of colored pencils. Sentinels getting scrapped nationwide. Turns out parents don't like their kids being labeled pre-criminals. Danica sat on the edge of the bed, signing slowly so Malik could read her lips. "You changed everything." He shook his head, pointing to the letters to the protests still raging outside, to the world waking up. "We did." The TV played the latest headline on mute. Thompson Act introduced. Bill would ban predictive policing tech. Somewhere a new system was being born, and this time it would hear them loud and clear. The streetlights cast long shadows as Malik and Danica walked past the courthouse. Its marble steps now covered in chalk drawings from local kids, hearts, peace signs, and dozens of hands signing, "I love you." Malik paused to trace one with his finger, then flipped open his sketchbook to a fresh page. Danica watched as he drew something new, a single candle illuminating a row of faces. Black, white, young, old, each with their hands raised, not in surrender, but in solidarity. At the bottom, he wrote in careful print, "The light we carry is the light we share." A car slowed beside them. Sawyer rolled down the window, grinning. "Just got word the Thompson Act passed committee. Full Senate vote next week." He held up his phone, showing a viral video of a deaf 6-year-old testifying before Congress, signing, "Don't scan my hands for weapons. Read them for stories." Malik's smile was quiet but bright. He tapped his sketchbook, then pointed to the courthouse doors, where Rohr had been led away in cuffs. Not in triumph, but in quiet assurance. This was never just about one boy, or one bullet, or even one broken system. It was about the light, the one they'd kindled together, refusing to be extinguished. Danica took his hand as they turned toward home. Somewhere in the distance, a church bell rang. Not for morning, for morning. The morning sun streamed through the windows of Malik's new art studio, a converted storefront 2 blocks from where he'd been shot. His graphic novel sat in a display case by the door, its cover a bold illustration of hands breaking chains with ASL letters. A line of kids snaked around the block, some holding their own sketchbooks, others signing excitedly. Danica leaned against the counter, watching him teach a workshop to a group of deaf students. His hands moved with confidence as he demonstrated how to draw hands, not as weapons, but as storytellers. Sawyer burst in, waving a tablet. Fortis just filed for bankruptcy. And get this, the Fed seized all their Sentinel tech. Turns out, hacking civil rights violates those pesky RICO laws. Lena strolled in behind him, tossing Malik a package. From a fan in Johannesburg. Inside was a hand-carved wooden hand signing "Power." Malik held it up to the light, then placed it on the windowsill beside a growing collection letters from Tokyo, a quilt square from Chicago, a watercolor from Rio. Each one a testament to the truth Danica had fought for. Silence wasn't empty. It was fertile ground, and from it they'd grown a revolution. Danica flipped the studio sign from closed to open. Somewhere another Malik was walking home. Another mother was waiting. But now, the world would hear them coming.